welcome to Silent Screams. Tonight, we're about to dive deep into the most terrifying and unsettling treehouse horror stories you've ever heard. These aren't just your typical ghost stories, these are true accounts, chilling experiences that will haunt you long after you've heard them. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear might just make you think twice before ever stepping foot into the woods again. Imagine it, you've been hiking all day. The sun is beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Your muscles ache, your body is tired, but you've finally reached your destination, an old, weathered treehouse, nestled high up in the branches of a towering oak tree. The kind of treehouse that looks abandoned, forgotten by time. You can barely make out the creaky silhouette against the fading light, but something about it feels off. You feel a chill run down your spine, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's just a treehouse, right? It's just a piece of childhood nostalgia left to rot by the passage of time. But no, something's wrong. You can't put your finger on it, but the air feels heavy. And as you climb the ladder, the old wood groans under your weight, creaking like it's protesting your presence. You feel like something's watching you. But when you look around, there's nothing there. Nothing except for the deep, unrelenting silence of the forest. Suddenly, a sharp sound cuts through the stillness. Is it a branch snapping under the weight of an animal? Or something else? You freeze, listening, but all you can hear is the pounding of your heart echoing in your ears. Then, the wind shifts, and you smell something. Something foul, something rotting, coming from inside the treehouse. You step forward, your feet moving almost without your command, drawn by an invisible force, until you're standing at the door of the treehouse. The door creaks open as if it's been waiting for you. You enter, the air growing colder, the stale smell of decay wrapping around you like a heavy blanket. The light from your flashlight flickers, revealing old, dust-covered furniture, a broken rocking chair, a faded childhood mural on the wall, and the unmistakable feeling that you're not alone. Then, in the far corner of the room, you see it, a shadow. It's not quite human, but it's there, watching you. Waiting. And then, the whispers. Soft at first, barely audible, but unmistakable. Your blood runs cold as the whispering grows louder. It's as if something is trying to speak to you, to warn you, or perhaps to lure you deeper into its grasp. This isn't just a treehouse. It's a place of darkness. A place where things linger that shouldn't be. And whatever was once here, whatever has taken residence in this place, is now very much aware of you. You try to back away, but your feet won't move. It's like the floor is holding you in place, as the whispers intensify, swirling around you, filling your mind with thoughts that aren't your own. Thoughts that don't make sense. The temperature drops, and suddenly you're not just cold, you're freezing. Then, without warning, the shadow shifts. You can't move. You can't scream. You're frozen, locked in place, staring at the silhouette that begins to grow. Slowly, painfully slowly, it becomes more distinct, more human-like, until you can see the outline of a figure standing just a few feet away from you. But it doesn't belong in this world. Its limbs are too long, its features too blurred, like something out of a nightmare. And then, just as you think it's about to move, you hear it, a soft, raspy voice that's too close for comfort. You shouldn't have come here. Your breath catches in your throat, the words hitting you like a slap. You don't dare move. You don't dare breathe. But the figure speaks again, this time much louder, its voice like the creaking of old wood, the crackling of leaves in the dead of night. Leave, or it will be too late. But it's too late for that. You've already entered, and you feel the weight of the presence inside the treehouse pressing in on you. The walls feel like they're closing in. The floor beneath your feet is unstable, creaking and shifting. Something is coming. You can feel it now. The air is thick with an unnatural tension. Your heart races, and the whispering grows louder, echoing in your ears, louder until it's all you can hear. Then, you hear something else, a sound that doesn't belong. A low, grinding noise coming from above you. The ceiling. The roof. Something is up there. Something that's been waiting. The treehouse, it isn't empty. And then, it happens. A sudden crash, the sound of splintering wood, and a shadow drops down from the ceiling, landing with a sickening thud in the middle of the room. It's fast, too fast, and before you can react, it's gone, vanishing into the darkness, leaving nothing but the faint smell of decay and the echo of its movement. You stand there, paralyzed by fear, barely able to comprehend what just happened. But then, as if the very treehouse itself is alive, you hear something. Soft, deliberate, rhythmic. A tapping sound, slow and deliberate, like fingernails scratching against wood. The sound moves across the room, getting closer. You can't see it, but you can hear it, the sound of something tapping, just inches away from you. It's in the walls. And then, the air around you shifts again. You feel it before you hear it, a cold, biting gust of wind, unnatural in its intensity. It rips through the treehouse, knocking over old furniture, scattering dust in every direction. Your flashlight flickers and dies, plunging you into total darkness. You're trapped. There's no way out. The whispers return, louder now, and you can feel the weight of something moving in the darkness, creeping towards you. In the silence that follows, you hear it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Footsteps, on the roof. But there's no one outside. No one but you. Suddenly, a shadow looms in the doorway. Tall, distorted, as if the very air itself is twisting around it. And then you hear the voice again, not a whisper, but a command, a warning. Leave. Now. Your body betrays you, frozen in terror. You try to move, but your legs won't work. The shadow steps forward, and as it does, the whispers become a chorus, deafening, echoing inside your skull. You can't breathe. You can't think. It's as if the very air is being sucked out of your lungs. The figure gets closer, and you feel a coldness that is so intense, it burns. It doesn't feel real. It can't be real. But then, a hand, no, a claw, reaches out toward you, fingers elongated and grotesque, sharp as knives. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. And that's when you realize you are not alone. You never were. The treehouse has been waiting for you. And now, it will never let you go. But just as you feel the cold grip of the claw on your arm, everything goes dark. Silence. To be continued. You wake up to the sound of your own ragged breathing, gasping for air. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to the darkness, but when they do, the sight is almost worse than the blind terror you felt before. You're still inside the treehouse, but something's changed. The oppressive cold has deepened, seeping into your bones. The familiar smell of decay now mingles with the scent of wet earth and something metallic, almost like rust. The faint whispers from before are gone, but the air is still thick, too thick, as if the very atmosphere is alive with unseen dread. Your heart pounds in your chest. Your body aches, sore from the fall, but when you try to move, your limbs feel stiff, as if you've been lying there for hours, maybe days. You force yourself to sit up, wincing from the effort, your eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. But there is nothing. No shadowy figure, no grotesque claws reaching out to grab you. Yet, you can still feel its presence, like something is watching you from every corner of the room, from behind the peeling walls, from the shattered windows. The silence is suffocating, an oppressive weight that presses in on you, crushing your chest. You try to stand, your legs weak beneath you. The floor creaks under your feet, but it's not the usual creak of old wood. It's deeper, heavier, like something is shifting beneath the foundation itself. You take a step forward, then another, moving toward the ladder. The air around you seems to thicken with every step you take, as if the treehouse itself is resisting your departure. The walls seem to close in around you, and the roof above rattles, sending a cold shiver down your spine. Something is up there, something that's been waiting for you to get close enough, and now it's just biding its time. Suddenly, the floor beneath you groans loudly, and before you can react, the wooden planks shift violently. You stagger back, trying to maintain your balance, but you lose your footing and crash into the far wall. The room spins as you hit the ground, pain searing through your side. You blink rapidly, trying to clear your vision, but as you lift your head, your eyes lock onto something that makes your blood freeze. It's a face. A pale, twisted face, half concealed by the shadows in the corner of the room. It doesn't move. It doesn't blink. It just stares. You want to scream, but your voice is caught in your throat, as though some invisible force is tightening around it, choking off any sound. The face in the corner seems to grow, slowly filling the entire wall with its unnerving gaze. The eyes are wide open, impossibly wide, black voids that seem to suck in all the light in the room, leaving only the reflection of your terrified face in them. And then, it smiles. It's a grotesque smile, distorted, the edges of its mouth stretched too far, too wide, as if it's forcing itself to show you its teeth, long, jagged teeth, gleaming in the faint light. A sharp, crackling sound fills the air as the thing's lips curl upward, and you feel a wave of nausea crash over you. You try to back away, but you're paralyzed, frozen by the sheer horror of what you're seeing. The smile widens. Its face seems to stretch, distort, like the air around it is warping, and for a moment, you think you see something behind it, something darker, something larger, moving in the space between the creature and the wall. But before you can process it, the thing's face lunges forward, closing the gap between you and it in a blink, its gaping maw now inches from your own face. You don't even have time to react before it speaks, a low, guttural voice, not quite human, a voice that sounds like it's coming from deep inside a cave or beneath the earth itself. You shouldn't have stayed. The words reverberate in your skull, sending waves of vertigo through your mind. You can't breathe. Your chest feels crushed under the weight of something unseen. Your heart races. You want to run, you want to scream, but your body betrays you. You can't move. You can't do anything but watch, helpless, as the face inches closer, its breath hot and fetid against your skin. But then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the face vanishes, and with it, the oppressive weight of the air lifts. The room is still again. Your chest heaves as you take a deep, shaky breath, and for a fleeting moment, you wonder if you imagined it. But deep down, you know you didn't. That thing is real. And it's still here, somewhere. Watching. Waiting. You scramble to your feet, your hands shaking uncontrollably, as you stagger toward the ladder once again. But as you grab the bottom rung and start to climb, a sound, low, creaking, like the bending of metal, stops you dead in your tracks. The ladder beneath your hands quivers, and when you look up, you see it. The ceiling above you has begun to ripple, as if something is crawling behind the wood, something large and heavy, pushing against the walls from within. The ladder shifts again, this time pulling slightly out of place as though something up above is tugging on it. You try to move faster, but the rungs beneath your hands feel slick now, like they've been coated with something cold and wet. From the corner of your eye, you see movement in the far end of the room. You don't want to look, but your body forces you to. There, standing just beyond the edge of the treehouse window, is a figure. Tall, shadowed, its form obscured by the darkness outside. You can't make out its features, but the shape is unmistakable. It's too still, too silent, almost like it's waiting for you to acknowledge it. And when you do, when your gaze locks with its, it takes a step forward, its silhouette growing larger with every movement. It doesn't make a sound. No footfalls. No rustling. It simply grows closer, and with each step, you feel the ground beneath you tremble. The air grows colder. A sudden gust of wind slams against the treehouse, rattling the windows, and the figure is gone, vanished like smoke. But the cold remains. The silence deepens. And then you hear it, a whisper. Not the usual soft, indistinct murmurings from before, but something sharper, clearer. Something more deliberate. Leave now. Before it's too late. The voice is clearer. It's almost pleading. But you know better than to trust it. You know this is a trap, a warning designed to keep you from escaping. But then again, what choice do you have? You turn back toward the ladder, your grip tightening around it. You need to leave. You need to get out of here before whatever this thing is, whatever this place is, decides to claim you. You start to climb again, desperate to get to the safety of the ground below. But the air grows thicker as you rise, and the shadows stretch, reaching toward you, grasping at your legs. You hear the sound again, from above. A scraping, dragging sound, like something heavy and slow is being dragged across the floor. Something alive. Something coming for you. And then, just as you're about to reach the top of the ladder, something brushes against your ankle. Cold. Wet. Unyielding. You look down, your heart stopping in your chest. The thing is there. Climbing the ladder behind you. Its long fingers wrap around the rungs, its grip tight and unrelenting. Its face is hidden in the shadows, but you can feel its presence, like a cold breath on the back of your neck. You don't look back. You can't. You climb faster. You don't care about the pain in your legs, the dizziness clouding your vision. You just need to get away. You need to leave before it catches up. But then, a scream echoes from below, a deafening, blood-curdling scream. It sounds human. No. Not human. It's too late. It's already too late. You hear the scream again, more distinct this time, cutting through the stillness of the treehouse like a blade. It's not a scream of terror or pain, it's something worse. Something primal, guttural, a sound born of desperation, of something ancient and malevolent. You freeze on the ladder, one foot hovering above the next step, your breath caught in your throat. You don't want to look down. You know you shouldn't. But you do anyway. Your eyes sweep over the dark interior of the treehouse, and your blood runs cold as you spot the movement. There, in the far corner, just beyond the broken window, something shifts. Something large. A figure, or maybe a shape, too tall, too twisted, to be human. Its form is nothing more than a grotesque silhouette, dark and shifting, its features indistinct, but the malice radiating off of it is palpable, like the very air around it is thick with poison. It sees you. You know it sees you. The cold that had settled into your bones earlier now intensifies. It wraps around you like a vice, constricting, squeezing the breath from your lungs. You try to move faster, to climb, to escape, but your limbs feel heavy, sluggish, as though the very act of climbing is a struggle against some unseen force. The ladder feels like it's shaking beneath your hands, groaning under the weight of something. No, not something, someone, climbing after you. The footsteps are too slow, too deliberate. They move closer, each step sending vibrations through the ladder. You dare not look down. You can't. But the presence, that dark, oppressive presence, is there, just below you. Suddenly, you hear the scraping sound again, like nails dragging against wood, only this time, it's closer. The sensation of fingers brushing against your ankle, cold and clammy, sends a wave of terror surging through you. Your heart skips a beat. You can feel it, something is climbing, too. Its fingers are reaching up the ladder, inching toward your feet, like some monstrous parasite, desperate to pull you back down. You try to kick your foot free, but something grabs onto your leg. A cold, bony hand, unyielding, wrapping around your calf, pulling with a strength that defies logic. Your pulse spikes. Panic surges. You kick again, harder this time, and finally, the grip releases. You scramble upward, your hands slick with sweat, your fingers numb from fear. It's only when you reach the top of the ladder, breathless and trembling, that you dare to look down. And when you do, your stomach drops. The thing is there. It's halfway up, its long, spindly limbs bend at unnatural angles as it climbs the ladder with horrifying speed. Its head swivels in a grotesque, jerky motion, its eyes wide, bulging, black as coal, locking onto yours with a gaze that pierces straight through you, as though it can see inside your soul. It's not even human anymore. Its mouth is too wide, its teeth too long, sharp and yellow, glistening like jagged shards of glass. A cold, rasping laugh bubbles up from its throat, deep, guttural, inhuman. "Where are you going?" it croaks, its voice sounding like 1,000 voices layered together. There's nowhere to run. Your legs quiver beneath you, but somehow you force yourself to move, to pull yourself through the small window above, your fingers scraping against the wood as you struggle to climb out. And then, just as you're about to clear the window, the air around you changes. The atmosphere grows heavy again, thick and stifling, like something is pressing down on you, trapping you. You feel it before you see it, a pull, like the air itself is being sucked out of the treehouse. You look back. There's nothing in the window. But the treehouse has changed. The entire room feels warped, as if the walls are bending, the floors twisting, the space itself folding in on itself. The ceiling seems to stretch impossibly high, and in the far corners, the shadows are alive, swirling, moving like liquid smoke. The edges of the room are no longer sharp, but distorted, as if the very geometry of the treehouse is being bent by something ancient and powerful. And then, you hear it again, the sound of the scraping nails. But this time, it's not coming from below. It's coming from inside the walls. The sound moves, like it's traveling just beneath the surface, following the shape of the room. It's inside the very bones of the treehouse. You spin around, heart hammering in your chest, trying to make sense of what's happening. The cold grows deeper. A chill so intense it feels like the room is freezing from the inside out. The whispers return, louder now, filling your head. They're not just words, they're images, sensations, flashes of memory that aren't yours. The voices speak of things that don't belong in this world, of creatures that should never have been, of ancient pacts and curses that have lingered far longer than you could ever understand. They're all around you, clawing at your mind, drowning you in a sea of maddening whispers. You want to scream, but the words don't come. Instead, your throat tightens, the air pressed out of your lungs by an invisible force. The whispers continue to grow louder, swirling around you, echoing in your skull. They promise things that sound too terrible to be true. "They're coming," one of the voices says, its tone a jagged rasp, like it's coming from the walls themselves. You've awakened them. You've freed them. Who? You manage to gasp, your voice barely a whisper. You'll see soon enough, the voice responds. But you won't escape them. Your chest heaves with fear, your mind racing. There's something behind you. Something you can't see, but you can feel it. It's approaching, creeping closer, its presence filling the air. You turn around, heart pounding in your throat, but the moment you do, something grabs you. A hand. A cold, skeletal hand, long fingers that wrap around your wrist like a vice, pulling you back into the heart of the room. You fight, kicking, thrashing, but the grip tightens. It's the thing that had been following you, that had climbed the ladder after you. The thing that has been waiting. You struggle against it, your vision blurring, but it's no use. The more you fight, the stronger its grip becomes. Its fingers dig into your skin, sending jolts of ice through your veins, freezing your very soul. The room around you shifts, tilts, as though the very treehouse is alive, shifting to accommodate the creature that has now taken hold of you. Suddenly, you're falling. You don't know where you're falling, but you're falling fast, your stomach lurching in a sickening dive. You can't breathe. You can't scream. The cold grips you tighter, crushing you from all sides. You fall, deeper and deeper, through layers of darkness, through the very fabric of reality itself. And then, you stop. You land hard, the ground beneath you unforgiving, sharp. But when you look around, everything has changed. You're no longer in the treehouse. You're in the woods. The trees around you stretch impossibly tall, their gnarled branches twisting into shapes that shouldn't exist. The sky above is a sickly gray, the air thick with fog. The ground is soft, slick with moisture, as if the very earth itself is alive. And then you hear it, the sound of something moving, just beyond your reach. A rustling in the leaves. A shadow passing between the trees. You try to stand, but your legs won't cooperate. You fall to your knees, your hands sinking into the wet earth. The ground beneath you shifts again, as if the earth itself is alive, pulling you deeper into the soil. The whispers return, louder than ever, filling your head with fragmented thoughts, visions of a time long past. Of a dark ritual performed beneath these very trees. Of ancient gods, of creatures that dwell in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to break free. And then, you see them. Figures. Shadows, moving in the distance, closing in. Their eyes glow in the darkness, a sickly yellow that makes your blood run cold. They are not human. They are something older. Something darker. They are coming.